Have you ever arrived in a new country where everything felt strange? The language, the food, the people, even the streets?
Oh, yes. That feeling when you step off the plane and suddenly realize you are very far from home.
Today we're going to talk about the first day in a new country and all the surprising, funny, and sometimes confusing moments that can happen.
So if you're learning English and you love real-life conversations, stay with us.
Mark, do you remember the first time you traveled to another country?
Yes, I remember it very clearly. I was excited, but also a little nervous. Everything was new to me.
What was the first thing you noticed when you arrived?
The airport. It was huge and very busy. I heard so many different languages around me.
That must have been overwhelming.
It was. I was trying to listen carefully because I didn't want to miss any important announcements.
Did you understand everything people were saying?
Not really. Some people spoke very fast. I knew English, but hearing it in real life was different.
Yes, that happens to many language learners. In class, everything is slow and clear. In real life, people speak naturally.
Exactly. I remember going to a cafe to buy coffee, and the barista asked me something. I didn't understand at first.
What did you do?
I smiled and asked, "Sorry, could you repeat that?"
That's a good strategy. Never be afraid to ask people to repeat.
Yes, and people were actually very friendly and patient.
That's nice to hear. Sometimes we imagine people will judge us if we make mistakes.
But most people don't. They appreciate that you are trying to speak their language.
What about food? Did you try something new on your first day?
Oh yes, I went to a small restaurant near my hotel. The menu had many dishes I had never seen before.
Was it difficult to choose?
Very difficult. I spent almost 10 minutes reading the menu.
Did the waiter help you?
Yes, he recommended a local dish. I decided to try it.
And did you like it?
At first I wasn't sure, but after a few bites, I really enjoyed it.
Trying local food is one of the best parts of traveling.
I agree. Food is a great way to learn about a culture.
Did you get lost in the city?
Actually, yes.
Really?
I wanted to explore the neighborhood, so I started walking without checking the map.
That sounds like an adventure.
It was. After about 20 minutes, I realized I had no idea where I was.
What did you do?
I asked a local person for directions. Luckily, they spoke English.
And did they help you?
Yes, they were very kind. They even walked with me for a few minutes to show me the correct street.
That's wonderful. Sometimes small moments like that make traveling special.
Absolutely. That was the moment when I started to feel comfortable in the new country.
So your first day started with nervous feelings but ended with confidence.
Exactly. And I realized something important.
What was it?
Traveling is not just about visiting places. It's about meeting people and learning new things.
I completely agree. And every first day in a new country becomes a story you never forget. You know, Mark, when people talk about traveling to a new country, they usually imagine beautiful places, famous landmarks, and exciting adventures. But they don't always think about the small everyday challenges that can make the first day feel confusing or even a little stressful.
That's very true. I remember that during my first day, I kept comparing everything to my home country. The streets looked different, the buildings had a different style, and even the way people moved around the city felt unfamiliar to me.
Yes, that feeling of everything being unfamiliar can be surprising. Even simple things like crossing the street, using public transportation, or ordering food in a restaurant can suddenly become a new experience.
Exactly. For example, when I tried to use the subway for the first time, I spent almost 15 minutes just looking at the map because I was afraid of taking the wrong train and ending up somewhere completely different.
That happens to many travelers. Public transportation systems can look very complicated at first, especially in big cities where there are many lines, stops, and directions.
Fortunately, a woman standing next to the map noticed that I looked a bit lost, and she kindly asked if I needed help. She explained which train I should take and even showed me how to buy the ticket from the machine.
That must have made you feel much better. Moments like that remind us that even in a foreign country, people can still be very kind and helpful.
Absolutely. That small interaction really changed my mood. Before that moment, I felt a little nervous and unsure, but after talking to her, I started feeling more confident about exploring the city.
Did you spend the rest of the day walking around and discovering new places?
Yes, I decided that the best way to understand the city was simply to walk without rushing. I walked through small streets, watched people going to work, and even stopped in a park where many families were relaxing and children were playing.
That sounds like a very peaceful moment. Sometimes the best travel experiences are not the famous tourist attractions, but the simple moments when you observe everyday life in another culture.
I completely agree. Sitting in that park made me realize that even though the country was different, many things were still familiar. People were talking with friends, parents were watching their children play, and street musicians were performing for small crowds.
That's actually a beautiful way to describe the experience. It shows that even when cultures are different, human life has many similarities everywhere in the world.
Yes, and that thought made me feel less like a stranger and more like a traveler who was learning something new.
Did you take pictures during your first day?
Of course, I took many photos because I wanted to remember every moment. The streets, the food, the buildings, and even the small cafe where I had my first coffee in that country.
Photos are a great way to keep memories alive. When you look at them later, you can almost feel the emotions you had during that moment.
Exactly. And every time I look at those photos now, I remember how nervous I felt at the beginning of the day and how confident I felt by the evening.
It sounds like your first day became a small journey of its own, starting with uncertainty and ending with excitement and curiosity.
That's a perfect way to describe it. By the end of the day, instead of feeling afraid of the unknown, I felt excited about the next days and all the experiences waiting for me.
So if you ever travel to a new country for the first time, remember that it's normal to feel a little nervous in the beginning, because everything around you is new and unfamiliar.
But if you stay curious, talk to people, and allow yourself to explore slowly, that first day can become one of the most memorable days of your entire trip.
And it can also be a wonderful opportunity to practice English in real conversations with real people.
Exactly. Language learning becomes much more exciting when it is connected to real experiences.
We hope this conversation helped you practice your English listening skills.
And maybe it also inspired you to travel and discover new places one day.
If you enjoyed this listening practice, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more English conversations.
And tell us in the comments, what would you do on your first day in a new country?
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode.